waited till everybody was there, and then I took, a couple of minutes to log in, to process it, so I just get it started.
All right.
And then also, as people join in, they recognize that it's being live streamed too, so. A couple of minutes. I just get it started.
Okay, so you all should have just
As people join in, they recognize that it's being live streamed too.
Oops.
So.
All right, wait, I need to turn off the volume. On the other side.
Actually, just close the window, Laura. Just close the window. Actually, just exit out. Just close it. It will continue to stream.
I did.
Okay.
I did. Okay. Because I was hearing everything twice. So that was not
that feedback.
So what would happen, as long as we're just yakking, if I just turned off the volume? Would it turn off for everybody, you think?
The volume
of the YouTube streaming.
Well, when you close the window, you are no longer in control of YouTube. It's going through Zoom.
Okay. Well, hopefully it's going through Zoom because I closed the window.
Yeah, that's what I do. I close it out.
All right. Hello, Donna. And I should say hello, Dr. Tom Williams.
Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Okay. So I'll wait.
Hello.
And I just checked, Laura, and the stream is going through because I heard Donna say, hello, everyone, good evening. So,
all right. So 7:04, I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'm going to also add the Zoom recording, which you probably all just heard. And the transcript, and then we can go. So, my name is Laura Mines. I am the co-chair of the UNNC Planning and Zoning Committee, where we are. I'm a member of the UNNC board, and I live in Angela Vista. I'm going to post the agenda now for everyone to review and look at and review. So can you see the agenda?
yes.
Okay. So this is the very last meeting, at least for now, under AB 361, where this neighborhood council, and today is for any neighborhood council in the city of Los Angeles, to hold meetings virtually. The Board of Neighborhood Commissioners and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment did establish that FONC has the authority to adopt AB 361 findings, the neighborhood council, and to determine that due to the COVID-19 state of emergency, meeting in person would present imminent risk to health and safety of attendees. So this meeting is being conducted virtually pursuant to that directive. The directive was adopted, the last 30 days of it was adopted on the 27th of February before the city's emergency orders elapsed. But this is 30 days after that, so they really alert at midnight tonight. So this is the last one. We'll be meeting in a hybrid formats beginning in April. So welcome, call to order, and a quick review of UNNC standing rules for community stakeholder voting participation. And that is anyone who is a stakeholder to United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council may vote, may make motions, anyone whatever stakeholder can certainly participate in a conversation. What is a stakeholder? People who live, work, own property, attend school, or are a parent of someone who attends one of our schools within the footprint, worship or participate as a community interest stakeholder, and that is someone who participates in a nonprofit 501c3, which has an address within the boundaries of UNNC and which performs some sort of activity or service, again, within our boundaries. So with that, we go to introductions. As I mentioned, my name is Laura Myers, and I am a stakeholder, and therefore can vote if there is anything to vote on tonight. And then I'd like to pass that baton to Teresa for introductions, and then you just let someone to pass it to.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Teresa Masonette. I represent the West Adams Avenues on the board of the United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council. I am a stakeholder and I will be voting tonight. Donna Jones.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Donna Jones from West Adams Avenues. I am a stakeholder and I will be voting tonight. Thank you.
Rosie.
Hello, my name is Rosie Brown. I live in Jefferson Park. I am a stakeholder and I will be voting tonight.
Okay. I can't see everyone.
Dr. Williams.
Hi.
Let me.
Sorry. Dr. Tom Williams, retired geologist, also associated with land use planning and wells and well pads, but also in the LA 32 Neighborhood Council Land Use and Development Committee, attending primarily because of the West Adams, the Murphy site.
Okay, thank you.
And a public.
Thank you. I think I saw Richard enter the Zoom room.
Yes, are we doing introductions, Laura?
We're doing introductions and voting affirmations.
Hi,
Item 2.
Okay, hi, I'm Richard Parks with Redeemer Community Partnership and a longtime resident here in the neighborhood. So thank you.
Teresa, can you see anyone else?
Yes, Dolores.
Dolores Spears, a stakeholder and UNNC board member, and I will be voting tonight.
And caller with the number 4748.
So
Okay. And that's it.
okay, yes, it seems that way. So quick review of the agenda. We'll have general public comments, a upfront project review, and what that means is a first look, not a action item. It's a first look discussion on a proposed change of use for the former Crenshaw Theater, LA Jazz Concert Theater, Kokusai Theater building. So it was built in 1941 as a theater, case number CA 2023-1767 CUV CUX at 3020 Crenshaw. And then beyond that, follow up to previous cases, ENS and old business. And that could be discussion and action. For sure, we know that there is an appeal on the Murphy side. There may be other old business and previous cases to be brought up tonight. And with that, and then we adjourn. So with that, I'm going to stop the share and ask if there is any general public comment on items not on tonight's agenda. Teresa.
Thank you, Laura. I just would like to let everybody know or remind most of us that the South Seas House, the Benny Potter Park, is having an Easter egg hunt, spring egg hunt, from 10 to 1 this Saturday. And if you know of any young children or you'd like to participate, please come out and join us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Dr. Williams.
Hi, Dr. Tom Williams, also with Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community, and we've been fighting the Sentinel Peak driller for maybe 12 years, 10 years, in the Inglewood oil field. So I might say you guys took the lead on getting it into and through the LA City Council. So I'm just here to support and also try to help on the Murphy appeal.
Okay. Okay. Any other general public comments on items not on tonight's agenda? Okay, moving on. We've got stuff flying all over the screen here. So our first item, kind of only item, that's on the agenda is a new case, just filed. So there's not even a real planner assigned to it yet. We like to take first looks at some cases so that we can see if there's community questions we might provide the applicant, whether or not the applicant is present. And I believe the applicant or their team is or not present tonight. So, so we're really going to take just a quick look. I wanted to share the screen a couple of times. So the first thing I did just want to pull up was an early photograph by the photographer Julia Schulman of the opening to this theater. I don't know if you can see it. What we have is a theater built in 1941 that has gone through a series of different, well, ownerships among other things, but uses. And it's part of a package of properties that were purchased by a single, I'm going to say developer, but a single developer property owner. And the application before us now is one that proposes to adaptively reuse the theater into an event center, banquet hall. Teresa, what was the phrase that you spotted on the application? Dance?
Adult entertainment.
Well, that's true, but dance hall?
Dance hall, yeah. Dance
Right.
hall.
Dance hall. So, so what I wanted to do again is now pull up the application. I'm sorry, I've got so many windows open, which is sort of unfortunately common with me.
Actually, it says event hall.
Event hall. Okay, so what I'm looking for simply is, I'm going to pull up the finding just because that's what's going to come up first. And then you might fool around on how here we go. Yeah. So basically what we have is an application. It does say the proposed use is event hall, which I think is a use in the municipal code. And a conditional use permit for on-site consumption of a full line of alcoholic beverages within an existing building, which is proposed as an event hall. And I'm just scrolling to see where they filled things in. So it's 9,000 square feet. And they also need a conditional use permit to simply permit the use of, again, now it still says dance hall in a C2 zone. It appears from other materials, however, and we'll get to it. Yes, this we don't need. Yeah. Let's back to where we were. Can you still see me? Play around a little.
We see attachment A, findings and supplemental information.
Right, so where it says findings, that's proposed findings at this point, not final findings. And so essentially, again, the address is 3020 Crenshaw. So that's on the east side of the street. It's the, what we think of probably most of us as a Kokusai Theater, which was a movie theater that showed Japanese language film. And it is in the feature zone, and it allows uses such as auditorium, hall, concert hall, motion picture theater, showcase theater, striptease show in completely enclosed building, and theater. So they're not proposing a striptease show center. And so the Crenshaw corridor specific plan does allow this. I'm not reading. They're not applying for demolition permit. This would have been defined as an eligible historic resource based on several surveys that would have triggered further evaluation if there was an application for demolition permit, but there's not. And what is proposed, you can see that there's sections about in the specific plan about marquee signs and theaters. There is a proposal within this to rehabilitate both the sign and the marquee. You can see the photo of the sign and put that Koku sign and then rehabilitate the marquee. So what this says is the Crenshaw Theater was identified in Survey LA, was eligible for listing in national, state, and local registers of historic resources. I don't ask you what criterion A1A is, but under criterion A1A, in the context of commercial development, as an excellent example of a neighborhood theater associated with the Japanese American community for existing Japanese language films in a post-war era. So it wasn't necessarily identified because of its past performances, but that's the other thing this goes back to. So the proposal is to restore the name back to Kokusai, but to also restore the marquee. And even though it has, sorry, I'm trying not to scroll past, the maximum occupancy of 368%, which is the same occupancy apparently. Again, refurbishing the existing building on the outside. They're asking for inclusion of beer and wine and permission for on-site dancing for anticipated special events where both are incidental to the operations of the event hall as a modern amenity. OB18, the need for special event permits every time the venue is utilized. So I think that we're getting repetitive in this. If it's okay with you, I'm going to stop the share. Is that okay? I see a chat, but I can't see any raised hands.
Yes, it's good. No raised hands. And
Okay, and does anyone want to see the site plans? They're up in the agenda packet. There's not really anything new in the site plan. So for good or bad. So if you want to see them, I can just stand over here.
Laura, it's really hard to understand what you're saying.
Okay, there is also a site plan.
yes, very quickly, Laura, if you could click on that.
I just lost everything, but let me stop this share and try again. And Ethan, Teresa, I'm going to make you also a co-host because I didn't see that Ethan was sitting in the waiting room.
Okay. And also, I wanted to share something, Laura.
That's fine. So I'm going to try and figure out where I was.
You were on the tab.
No, I know. But where I was inside something. I probably have lost it. I'm so sorry. I may have just closed everything.
How about I share with you
Sure.
the reason why I thought,
Okay.
let me just see if I can. Just 1 second. Oh goodness, where is it?
Well, if you're trying to show this plan or you have something else open, under e-submit is probably what you have.
Yes, that's what I was trying to, oh, can you show that? Or do you mind
Well,
if
I see where it is up on your, with your arrow. Next to case information, you go there. That's
Ah.
easy.
No, it's, let me just open it this way, Laura, sorry. Okay. Can everyone see that? New
Yes,
cases filed, okay. So this is the reason why I was just slightly concerned. Right here, this is our neighborhood council, CD 10 3020 Crenshaw. And over here, it does say CUB, a conditional use, beverage alcohol, CUX, adult entertainments. So I wasn't quite sure what that meant.
Got it. I understand. So what we want to do tonight, I think, and it'd be ideal if we did it in the chat, is create a list of questions for the applicant. So, I mean, we should say the words out loud, but I think if you have a specific question, like what is adult entertainment?
Yes, I'm typing it now.
Yes, let's just type it into the chat. And also, you know, I'm wondering what kind of specific outreach will be done for with the immediate neighbors? You know, will there be flyers? Will there be a neighborhood watch meeting? Because UNNC doesn't do a great job. I mean, we have 80,000 stakeholders, so it's very hard for us to thoroughly reach out and even it's very difficult to canvass immediate neighbors. I do see a hand raised. Dolores.
Are you on mute, Dolores?
I didn't, good evening, everyone. I'm sorry, I didn't read the agenda packet before I came to the meeting, and like Donna said, it was kind of hard to understand what Laura was saying, but just to clarify, this is the theater that was across the street from the old West
Yes.
Angeles Church, right?
And was owned by them. It was owned by West Angeles Church.
Okay, and so it originally was some sort of a Japanese theater, and then West Angeles owned it, and now they want to turn it back over to whomever, and it's to become a theater, entertainment theater again.
No. What happened is that
Teresa, do you know? Because it's hard to understand, Laura.
Well, I'm not going to give you the full history that Laura knows.
No,
but what they want to do right now is turn it into an event hall where maybe you can rent it out for weddings or some kind of dance space. I'm not sure if it's going to be a club or what it is. That's why we were hoping they can come in and give us some more information. But I do think it's probably going to be for an event for weddings and things like that. Is that about right, Laura?
West Angeles still owns it, or they've sold it?
No, they sold that property along with several other properties to CIM, Shaul, who I can't think of his last name right now.
Okay. And so now they're proposing to do what Laura just described.
Yes.
Okay.
Maintain the historic marquee and the sign, and then do the renovations like the picture Laura showed us.
Okay, thank you. Got it.
Other questions? And again, not questions for me, but questions you want us to provide to the developer applicant.
So does anybody have any questions you'd like for Laura to present to them? So when they come back in, they can have answers. You can mention it out loud and Laura can type it in the chat, or you can type it in yourself.
I just basically would like them to clarify what their vision is, because adult entertainment is definitely not something we want to leave flying in the air because it's a little, hopefully it's confusing. Hopefully they don't intend what is being said, because it's definitely not something the neighborhood's interested in. But there are lots of, I mean, they could be opening up for chess clubs and such for adults, but hopefully it needs to be more clear. That definitely is it.
Dr. Williams?
Yeah, I have had some experience with earlier cinemas and nightclubs in Texas. And the real issue for especially if they're going to do a lot of interior work, is have them check for asbestos and heavy lead paints. But that's, might say, nitty gritty. That's all.
Great, thank you. Dolores?
Yes, I want to know, are there any, and I'll put it in the chat, are there any restrictions on the types of rental that can be had there? Because anything of it that has any kind of a sexual nature is of course, we don't want that, right?
No.
Meaning strip clubs.
And
That's adult entertainment.
Lap dances and that sort of thing. There might be some people that want it, but no. We don't want to bring that kind of element into the neighborhood.
I'd also like to talk about parking too, Laura, if we could, if it's 300.
Ethan has his hand up right now.
Yes, okay. Ethan, sorry, go ahead.
Hi, Teresa and everyone else. Just wanted to tap on a couple of things. So there's, although I read the description you shared, Teresa, of saying adult entertainment, my take on it is there are other theaters in Los Angeles that are offering, I don't see it as being strip club adult entertainment. There's the Belasco Theater downtown. There's the a theater in Inglewood. There's another theater in Wilshire that used to be old movie theaters that are now being used for concerts, DJ events, things like that. So maybe that's what they're meaning by adult entertainment. Because a lot of older theaters throughout Los Angeles have been converted into, imagine like, you know, people in their 20s and 30s to come out, listen to a DJ, maybe listen to a live performance, but there's a bar in the back, XYZ. So that's the way I took it. But to piggyback on Dolores's point, if we want to specify adult entertainment, would we be against burlesque is big now? Would it be against a burlesque show? So I think you kind of teeter the lines on when you try to define what is adult entertainment. Thank you.
And thank you, Ethan. And I do think that maybe they just mean if even if it's like a regular nightclub, you have to be an adult to get there. You have to be over 18 or 21 to
Or
drink
21,
alcohol.
right?
Pardon me?
Right. Yeah, probably 21. I'm agreeing with what
Right.
you're saying, probably 21 and over type of.
Right. So that's why it's adult entertainment. So.
And then
Thank
as
you.
far as, and I'm sorry, I know I'm taking
No,
so
go
much
ahead.
time. As far as parking, I mean, I'm not surprised that CIM is doing this because they've already paid for a parking lot steps away. So parking probably won't be an issue because their office space building has a parking lot that probably won't be utilized in the evenings and on the weekends.
Okay, great, thank you. There are a lot of great questions in the chat. Laura, do you?
Yeah, I'm
want
seeing
to read
that.
them?
I've got the live transcript on also, so the other questions are being typed with
Okay.
less good English, as it were. And I will say, I hope you can all hear me. I'll talk slowly, but I hope we're not going to say no the way I don't remember if it's Tennessee or Kentucky or where it is, but that people can't do, can't have a drag show because that's adult, but it's just fun. So I don't want to be like,
No, I think I probably speak for everybody. We're not talking about entertainment and shows. We just don't want, as Dolores said, lap dances. We don't want, podiums with poles on it, because that will attract an element that we do not want in our community. So, a club, a nightclub, I'd like to see more, but a nightclub where people can come in and listen to a DJ and have fun and dance and,
I think this is also weddings. I mean, it's an event space that people can rent. So I do think since it's a conditional use permit, we should ask what conditions are being proposed. I'll type that in.
Right. And also might be interesting, if it is a space that you can rent, could someone have a bachelor party there? And if that's the case, then who knows what
they're going
type
to
of
have lap
entertainment.
dances then. So,
No.
just saying.
Well, that would be a private event. I don't think the general public would be invited to that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, parking. Ethan mentioned they own an adjacent two parking lots, two different office buildings. They also, I think, own the adjacent other parking lot that's just south. It's a surface parking lot. So that had been used in the past as the parking lot for this building, but is not a part of this project. So I think we should just ask, is that because they're going to build on it, or are they just going to keep using it but not make it part of the project? So I'm going to write that in. Does anybody else have anything? I'm not seeing any other hands. I'm hearing any other comments. Rosie.
You're on mute, Rosie.
Yeah, I have a question about the square footage of the property. How much is it?
Oh, I thought it was 8,000 or 9,000 of the property or the building. I thought it was almost 9,000, the building itself. But I will look.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So it's probably there in the packet, but are they going to take the building and make it bigger or
No.
keep it the same? They're going to make it bigger.
Yeah, let's keep it the same.
Keep it the same. So because it is a theater with all those seats in it, are they proposing to take a lot of those seats out to have more space for dancing or what have you?
I think the answer is yes.
Okay.
They have owned the property for several years. It was shut down as whatever its last use was because of COVID. So in March 2020. And they created a rental brochure before they turned in this. So during the meantime, they were already trying to rent the whole property. And it did not look like there were very many seats left in the photos in the brochure.
Okay. Yeah, last time I was there was a lot of seating.
Yeah, but they could have erased the seats in Photoshop. I don't know what they have done.
Hey, Ethan has his hand up.
I do. Thank you, Teresa. I just wanted to piggyback on what a previous question about the square footage, and to address a question I put in the chat, Laura. I would like to know, and I know the representative's not on the call, but are they going to have multiple rooms, multiple entrances. I know at some of these locations, they might have, let's say, a private VIP club upstairs where the entrance is off the alley, right? So I would like to know, are they planning on just having the main old theater space, or are they looking to have multiple rooms, private entrances, even a kitchen or a takeout kitchen, since there's already a kitchen built into the space? So that's why I added that question to the chat. Thank you.
I may have doubled you up. I may have just put it in a second time, but let me, I didn't put up the site plan because I couldn't really tell, but let me, Teresa, if you can call on people while I'm zooming in on the site plan. Just
Okay,
keep it
I don't
going.
think there are any other hands up right now. Rosie, your hand is still up. Did you have an additional question?
Oh, no. Let me try to move that.
Yeah, I do not see in the site plan any other plans. Yeah, meaning I don't see a floor plan. So the question is, will additional plan, rendering, floor plan?
Laura, I do see, when I went through the ENS and then went to the case number, there are some floor plans, and one says demolition floor plan mezzanine.
Right, remove it. Yes, I see that they're removing a mezzanine, but I'm not seeing the answer to Ethan's question about, is there more than one kitchen? Are there private rooms? I'm not seeing that on the plan.
Okay.
I see an existing, well, two existing kitchens, actually. Well, there's two existing kitchens. I see two toilets, four toilets. So I don't see any subdivisions of the spaces. I see, right? Well, it looks like it's all one big space, actually, with bigger bathrooms. I can pull this back up, but let me just share it. So can you guys see that?
Yes, we can.
So I think this is the new version. Like, I don't have a lot of navigation though. Yeah. So if this is what they're doing, I don't see, Ethan, that there's other spaces. It looks like one big space. But I think it's a question we should still ask.
Right. Because I don't know. I've been on the inside, but I haven't ventured through that building before. Is there a second story to this building?
There's a mezzanine that shows up for demolition.
Okay. But is there a second? Do we know if there's a second story?
Well, I know. No, we didn't know. So, because I think that's the mezzanine. Maybe not, because it says open to below. So I don't know.
Was
Okay.
all of this in the agenda packet? I don't see it.
Yeah, it's in there.
Huh.
It's called site plan. Happens to be a little more than the site.
Oh, okay. I see where it says attic space at the top.
Now look, it says third floor is what it says here. So
Just because, we do live in LA and we're in proximity to Hollywood, a lot of times that if you have an exclusive back room, right, that makes it also a fun spot to go visit. But I'm thinking the impact to the neighbors on the back, if that's the plan and the entrance is going to be off the alley. And I mean, I'm sure we've all frequented spots like this in the past in Hollywood and places that,
I am, this just doesn't show us. So we'll have to ask.
because there are neighbors that live right behind it. And I wouldn't want them to be impacted. I think some of them even have their garages opening out to the alley.
Correct. Well, again, we're just in the question stage, and we'll have a real presentation with the real plans, meaning not plan, well, hopefully some more plans for architecture, but they're project plans. What are they planning to do? Who's going to run the space, which I think was one of the questions already asked. Because I don't see Shaul running it, but he does like to have food and other food. I mean, he thinks of food as entertainment. I think one of my questions would simply be, why not another restaurant, which would not be better necessarily for the neighbors, but he's opened so many restaurants. Why is this space not being considered? And the answer, I don't want to project the answer because it, maybe the size. So, okay. Are there any other questions on this?
No, but I would like to just answer Dolores's question. That Dolores, it is in the agenda packet. It's under Crenshaw Theater.
Right.
Okay, I clicked on the agenda. It says view agenda. And the only thing in there is that I see is the agenda. I don't see anything else. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place.
Yeah.
It should look like this, Dolores. When you click on it, you'll get this this screen, which will have the agenda.
Uh-huh.
And it has this folder up here. It says Crenshaw Theater.
Okay, I'll look again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, Laura, I'm sorry, my hand's not raised, but I just went to check. I know you were saying why not a restaurant since Shaul likes restaurants. I, in my opinion, it could be because you get more bodies that can stand than sit at a restaurant. So now as an event space, if you want to do a show, if you want to do a DJ set, if somebody wants to have Laura's birthday party and it's just going to be stand around with cocktail, you get more people in that since it's such a large space standing versus so that's
well,
what
and I also think it's kind of hard to make a very successful restaurant in a very large space. I don't know.
well, absolutely. You have to build out the kitchen and all that. It's just I'm seeing these throughout America, right? Reconverting old theaters into just big open spaces, but they, you can bring in a stage and have a show. You could, bring in a DJ. You could have that 21 and over Friday night party, right? Because it's not you doing the party. You gave it to a promoter, right? So it allows for endless possibilities. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we've got a really good list of questions, unless there are any further. I'd like to move on to, what was the move on to our old business here. Let me just read it out loud. Follow up to previous cases, ENF and old business. And we called one thing out just because we knew about it, which is the Murphy oil drill site, that there was an appeal of the zoning administrator determination. The appeal was, as far as I know, by the owner applicant, and it was an appeal of parts of the decision and conditions numbers 5, 7, 16, 17, 19, is a line of ones, 21 through 28, 32, and 33. So I know we have people on this meeting who wanted to talk about that. So it is a discussion item, it's an information item. And I'm sorry, my phone is now ringing on top of everything else. So anyway, so who was here to talk about that? If anyone. And Dr. Williams. And you're muted.
But I say, I was joining in order so that I could offer my services to help on this one. I haven't looked at the appeal or anything, so I'm here to help for till the weekend or through the weekend. And might say, I do know the Murphy site from a while ago, and it has changed somewhat, but it's still a matter as to it's a very large oil production and injection field, and would be interested in helping anybody who is opposing it. And I would assume to try to help the planning department regarding the appeal decision numbers. So I can look through it and give you some reading and some text as to how to oppose the appeal.
Okay, so UNNC has not been asked to engage yet one way or the other. And we have
I'm
not
here to help.
Right, and we have not seen the appeal either. Richard, did you have information on this? Hi
Good
there.
evening, everyone. Dr. Williams, good to see you, and thank you for volunteering your services to our community. Always grateful for your partnership.
I can't hear.
You can't hear me. Okay, I can speak a little louder. Can you hear me now?
Not, we can, but it's very faint, Richard. Is there any way you can increase your volume?
Can you tell me, is this better?
It's a little bit better. We'll just strain and listen to you.
Okay,
Like they have to do with me every day.
I just more wanted to share an update with you all. Just one to let you know that 2 weeks ago, the South Coast Air Quality Management District, in response to odor complaints at the Murphy drill site, sent inspectors out to investigate. And what they found 2 leaks at the time, 2 sources of fugitive emissions. Each apparently was greater than 100,000 parts per million. That's significant because it's 2 times the explosive level of methane. And apparently the intensity of the leak surpassed the equipment that they had. In the words of the inspector, it flared the equipment out. I could give you a technical explanation of that, but it's not necessary. So the South Coast Air Quality Management District ended up issuing a notice of violation to E&B Natural Resources for this. I also wanted to share with you that twice this month, we've had to report to the planning department that E&B has violated its hours of operations by sending in heavy-duty diesel trucks. These are box trucks that transport hazardous materials. They sent them in early in the morning before their legal operating hours begin, really under the cover of darkness. And so this has been a problem. I can't remember the exact number, though I do have it, but there have been numerous operating hour violations since last April, since the public hearing. So this is just continues to be an ongoing public nuisance for the surrounding community, both the odors and the operating hour violations. So just wanted to continue to keep you in the loop about, how this drill site is impacting the health and safety of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion about this? Again, we haven't seen the appeal. I don't know how we do see the appeal, frankly, but I don't know process it will be in to go to city council. Or if it goes to city, or if it goes to the planning commission before council. I really don't know the process. So, anyway, Dolores, then Richard again.
Okay, I'm sorry, I keep muting myself. Mr. Parks, I wanted to ask you, those complaints about the Murphy oil odor, would the odor from that place affect us down in Jefferson Park, down by Western and Jefferson? Because our neighbors on 31st Street and surrounding streets have been experiencing that strange odor in the middle of the night. And we have filed complaints with AQMD. And I'm wondering if it's coming from that drill site. You're
Yes, most definitely. Laura, can I share screen?
Yeah, but let's keep this to about 5 minutes, if you don't mind, because we have a few others. So
Yeah, let me just.
yeah, hang on. Now you can.
Okay. Okay, are you able to see this map?
no,
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
There it is.
there it is.
Okay. And let me try and zoom in a little bit more here. So this is a map of the Murphy drill site here. And what you're seeing is a series of concentric circles around the drill site. So the orange circle that's closest is 1/4 of a kilometer. It's about 1.16 miles. The next line out that goes to, you mentioned Jefferson and Western, right?
Yes, yes.
So you can see that here, let's see, that's 30th Street. Let me just move the map up a little bit more. So here would be my cursor, if you can see it, is where Jefferson and Western is. And that's within 1 kilometer, basically 0.62 miles, well within that radius. And so it's very likely, I mean, I can't tell you for sure that the odors that you're experiencing are from the drill site, but I just want you to see the proximity. This map is from an air quality study that we're working on with USC, Occidental College, and the University of Colorado at Boulder. And, you know, kind of based on weather patterns that we're seeing, that Jefferson Western vector is something that we think is, you know, important to take a look at, because it's downwind from the drill site. So that is just kind of a long answer, but hopefully a visual answer to your question of that. You know, I can't speak to it 100% and say, yes, that odor is from there, but it's certainly feasible and it's certainly within the area of concern.
Okay, thank you.
And then Laura, if I could, I just wanted to say that, you know, where this appeal is going, ENB has appealed the decision. It will be heard before the South LA Planning Commission.
Got it.
That will be its final stop, at least for this, in terms of the city. And then, you know, very likely we would expect to appeal to the, you know, to the courts after that.
So, COVID emergency is over and the tolling of time is over. We would expect to see that hearing within 75 days of the appeal, correct?
Yeah, I think at this point, what I've heard is the city is thinking that it will take place in May, but that's not been decided just yet. And it will be both, my understanding is that it'll be both in person and online. So, excuse me. So residents will have an opportunity to participate either way, either in person down on Vermont at the Constituent Service Center or online.
Do you know the date the appeal was made?
I could look it up. I don't know.
It is probably something like the 28th of February or 15th of March. So, I mean,
I think March 15th was the deadline
Right.
they had to appeal by the 15th, and I believe it came in a couple days before that. So on the 12th or 13th.
okay, so my understanding is that on February 28th, the city clerk and everybody else went through every case that had already been filed and hit them with a 75-day deadline. Yes, so something I'm involved with suddenly has 75 days after February 28th and been sitting around a year. So this one probably also has 75 days. I am now just wondering how they're going to get to both the lagging cases and the new cases. But we'll see. We'll just see.
Well, I just received a notice today that the next South LA Planning Commission meeting was canceled because there were no cases to be heard.
Oh, rolling eyes. Okay, well, it's probably because it's the Easter holidays and they didn't want to say that. Spring break. Because I just got a notice that Cultural Heritage Commission was canceled for the same reason. I don't think that's, I mean, I've got a pin anyway. Okay. That's so we does anybody else have anything on this? Because I know there's one or two other updates on cases. Okay, so I want to update everybody. Our board voted last night to authorize a community impact statement related to the Mills Act, the proposed changes on the Mills Act Historical Properties Contracts Program. I hope you guys can hear me. The live transcript people hear me fine. I can read what I'm saying. But you may recall that UNNC voted to not support, unless many changes were made, the original proposal last summer for the planning department to revamp the Mills Act program. This is a program that gives tax benefit to owners of historical properties. Not all owners, but certain owners. And the way it was being mathematically calculated, it was all kind of wrong. And then in January, the director of planning actually wrote a report and gave an oral report to the Cultural Heritage Commission that said, yes, we heard all the testimony, we read all the letters, we're not going to do this the way we proposed. We're back to rethinking it, but we agree there's not the tax issues and the loss of monies to the city are not the problem. We agree we're going to do something else. And then they didn't do something else. They canceled the hearing that was to be at Cultural Heritage, and instead they got a city council motion that takes them all the way back to the original report that they heard such negative comments on. So we're going to do we're just going to do a community impact statement that reaffirms what we already wrote with a comment about if you said you weren't going to do it, why did you go to city council and ask them to do it? Something to that effect. So the original letter is in our packet, and that's just an update for those. Now only one person who was not there last night. Okay, then Teresa, there was something you wanted to discuss.
I have two things, Laura, if I can go quickly. First, I'd like to say that appeal, I just pulled up the ENS of the appeals that are filed. I mentioned to you before Alston and Bird, and you said that you thought that was, and that appeal receipt was March the 14th.
Okay.
So if it is 75 days from that, you can just figure that out.
Right. Thank you.
And before I get to the ordinance, I'd like to I put it on the agenda for next time, or I don't want, I just want to bring it up now, and we can, I would like for the planning and zoning to do a CIS. I don't know if we have to go through the board, but let me just tell you a little bit about it. So there was a case, a famous case in 2016 where the city had to settle a class action lawsuit, and they settled it for 1.4 billion. But recently a judge, and this was regarding the other sidewalks, and that they were inaccessible for, or they didn't meet ADA requirements. But a lot of, many groups filed a counter lawsuit or an appeal to this. And one group in particular was upset that the city was going to have to remove about 13,000 trees to meet the requirements of this lawsuit. So that is was heard, and they said the city did not do enough background research to the EIR to determine the effects to wildlife and to the mature trees. So the Public Works Committee has put forth a motion asking Street Services and the city forest officer to come up with a report that details how we can preserve the mature trees and repair the sidewalks, and to come up with some creative ways for accomplishing both. So I'd like for this committee to, and I will certainly be happy to write it, a CIS in support of this motion. It's just a report back, but there are other neighborhood councils have written a very simple statement that they support this. So I think that I think we should do it too. So I don't know if you need, we can put it on an agenda for the next meeting, and I can have the draft CIS available if that's okay.
I don't see it to be a problem unless it's moving quickly. Do you know?
No, I don't know, but even, I mean, it's just a report back. So
I understand. Since you're officially our tree liaison, my guess is that Greg would allow you to just write, if you want to do it in the next 2 days, a draft CIS and put it on the April 6th agenda. I don't know that you have to go through the committee.
okay.
So it's not a problem to go through the committee, but Greg is all for giving power to those who are assigned,
Right. Okay.
delegating responsibility. So check with Greg. I'm sure we can put it on our next agenda if he says put it on an agenda.
Okay, I will do that, and I'll find out where it is in the process, because, well, the city council is on recess for the next couple of weeks, so I know it won't be coming up before them, so before that. And then the other thing is just if you could give us some more information on this ordinance, which I put in the chat, the site review amendment. I don't know. I just you could explain that to us.
Well, basically,
I can pull that up too. It's a very short document, so let me pull that up.
yeah. So basically, the city planning department is working on an ordinance that would amend the current ordinance where developments of more than 50 or more residential units become an entitlement that requires a review. And site plan review is usually not the only entitlement on a project, but it can be. So what happens is anytime there is a land use entitlement, it does a few things. It's not just that it's a review, it triggers CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act. So that also has to be evaluated. And it also triggers the ability of members of the public to appeal a determination. So even if otherwise the project would be pretty much in keeping with what the zone allows and not appealable and no CEQA, site plan review moves it into that other category where there's a public hearing, there's a neighborhood council meeting, and so on and so forth. So this is an amendment that would essentially eliminate site plan review for any project that's 100% affordable housing. And it would also change how the number of units are counted. So for a mixed income project, meaning one that has market rate and qualified restricted affordable units, none of the qualified restricted affordable units would count towards that number 50. So if somebody wanted to do
Well, Laura, can we just apply to something that would possibly happen here? So if someone wants to build affordable, 50 units, all affordable, this amendment and the mayor's executive order allows them to circumvent CEQA. It allows them to circumvent site plan review. It means they do not have to come to the neighborhood council for anything. So
if that was the only entitlement.
So if there are other entitlements, so affordable housing is an entitlement?
No, but it's just hard to know. So for example, if many projects are not 100% housing, they have a commercial level. So they would normally go in and pre-apply for the conditional use permit for alcoholic beverages if they were planning to have a store or a restaurant on the first floor. I mean, so it's not always the only thing they need. It might be the only thing they need. The land, if it was zoned industrial, they may need a variance. So it's hard to know with certainty what's the only thing that they need. If they need it on a TOC project or even a CPIO project to have less open space, if they're applying for those waivers or incentives, if they need
those
more
cases, they would still have to come, they would have to still follow the correct,
correct
process.
But the 100% affordable projects tend to avoid needing too many entitlements because they're on a track where they need a fully approved project before they can apply for money. They can't be in the process of approvals or appeals or a court case, worst case. They're not eligible to apply for their money until they have a fully complete entitlement. And so they usually don't ask for too much.
Okay.
Right? They want to ask for things that people say yes to. So the issue for me is there's two issues. One is, but why are we doing for these mixed use projects, which are not really adding much in the way of affordable housing, and sometimes are removing naturally occurring rent stabilized, almost affordable housing. They're just not official. And we're not seeing a lot of benefit. We're getting a wash. Why should they be excluded from this? So that's question one for me. Question two is that the definition of affordable housing includes moderate, and that's people with household incomes of something like 68,000 to 120,000. It's not for poor people. We UNNC have made a point that we want housing built for the missing middle. That would be the missing middle. But should it be built where somebody's adding 15 or 20 such units, now they're building 65 units or 70 units and still getting exempted from the site plan review? So that's another question. And the third one is simply the mayor did issue an executive order. It will be in place for at least another 3+ years. Well, first term of mayorship, that already exempts 100% affordable housing. So why are they rushing this ordinance through? It makes no sense to me that it has to be such a rush. So they had a workshop hearing in March. They have a deadline for public comments of April 3rd. but they've already scheduled this for planning commission at the end of April. And that's a real fast track. I don't understand it.
Well, is there any way we can provide a comment?
We did not vote or take it to the board for last night for the special meeting. So this committee had just discussed it last time. We did not vote. And thus we cannot write the community impact. Well, we can't write a letter on behalf of UNNC for the 3rd. We can propose a letter and resolution / community impact statement for the 6th, if we want to. The small group of us here, and I don't, and we could do that and then be able to speak to it at the commission hearing. But I don't know.
Can I just ask another question? So with this new amendment, are they able to reduce the amount of open space?
It would depend well, I think the answer is yes. Because
So let me just.
if it's a density bonus case, they're more ministerial. If they ask for, if they only ask for, depending on the number of affordable units, right? Everything.
Let's say it's 100% affordable, and let's say they're able to get some funding.
If it's
Then they
100%,
are able to put up a box without the minimum amount of open space that is normally required, without the minimum amount of trees that are normally required, 1 to 4, 1 tree for every 4 units. They're able to circumvent all of that in a need for housing. So what we will have is a block of
if they're
50
only,
units for people, for poor, people who need affordable housing with no open space and no connection to nature and no trees.
if they're asking for a small number of incentives, meaning they're getting a density bonus of some kind, it's really hard to find a piece of land that's affordable where you could by right build more than 50 units. It'd be normally that they're asking for some sort of bonus. And there's legal incentives in state law that, 2, if you have this many affordable, in other words, there's still a formula, but if open space is often one of the on-menu incentives people ask for. And if they do not ask for too many incentives, it still is a case that does not go to public hearing under the state law. So yes, this would be, if you want to understand the mindset of the department, they're trying to remove barriers to the construction of affordable housing. So anytime somebody can appeal something, that's a barrier, potential barrier. So,
but aren't they doing that while sacrificing some of the things that people need to have a healthy life? When we say, oh, it's so important to have housing, and we're not going to make sure that you have open space. So when you come out, you don't have a park bench, you don't have anywhere to sit, you don't have, you have nothing. You have 2 blocks that you may have some trees on as you're walking to the train.
Yeah, well, it's not just that. You can't have visitors because they put in no parking.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you need visitors? Kind of.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have to do anything. I just, what are you hearing support for this from the planning world?
Yes, for the planning world, I'm hearing the justification for this. I don't agree with the justification that we have to hurry or that we have to include all the 100% affordable projects, even though the mayor's already, they're saying, well, the mayor executive order will expire at some point. And that is true, but it's not going to be in the next few months. I would request that they slow down. But and that they consider what you brought up, because the constant request to eliminate open space and to eliminate trees, we're seeing that everywhere, and it's exactly what we're not in favor of. So but I think we are in favor of eliminating some barriers to the construction, the creation of affordable housing. So, you know, it's a difficult thing. And again, I did attend the workshop, or I did attend one of the presentation workshops where it was a meeting like this, a Zoom discussion meeting, not a webinar. And quite clearly, they want to even exempt units that are being to be rented to people earning $100,000 a year. Because they want to include those moderate affordable units. And the concern I have is, well, that's regular rental units, number one, but more importantly, to be deemed an affordable mixed income project and get any incentives, it's not like the 3 or 4 extremely low income units we see here. For moderate, they truly have to be something like 15 to 20 units on a, 50. So we're really talking about more units and moderate that would be exempted. And it just feel like at minimum, the exemption should only be for very low, you know, low, very low and extremely low, but not for moderate. Not that I don't want to have housing for the missing middle, I do, but this is an exemption. So I'm not sure, you know, they should be combined. So anyway, technically the only way we could do anything is to have a CIS for April 6th, and I feel like we're going to be stretched thin just to get to a meeting. You know, the first in person, and it's going to be time sensitive. We're going to have a
Well, but we just talked about doing, that I'm going to write a CIS that I'm going to talk to Greg about and bring it to the board. So we could vote on something now and then you can bring it to the board.
So it'd be up to, you know, the 4 of us. So if you're comfortable doing that, that's fine with me.
I don't know, Donna, Dolores, have you guys, any comments? I mean, it's.
I'm sorry. I had a phone call and I didn't hear what you guys were talking about.
Teresa, will you summarize again?
Well, I've been monitoring the electeds meeting every Sunday, and they talk about the problems with, what is it, 9 and 8 and 9 or whatever, Wiener's crap. And cities are fighting it in every way they can. Because number one, they don't mind putting it where we live, but they're not going to put that in Beverly Hills or that kind of housing that Laura just described. They're not going to do it. No one's going to, they'll battle to the death.
Well, City of LA is not battling to the death.
No, but the other small cities around, you already know the state's being sued by which beach?
Huntington Beach.
Yes, and that's what I monitor their meetings every Sunday afternoon at 4. And all across the state, there are, they're building opportunities to go against what the state wants. And they're going to see what Huntington Beach and how it happens. But the type of housing that Laura just described, people don't want that. And, you know, people who spend a great deal of money, because they're not going to make money off poor people. They're making it off the people who are going to, they don't want to live like that. And I don't know where it's going, but I know I watch every week, and that's a discussion. What you're talking about right now and what they're going to do to get rid of Newsom and his Rob, whatever his name is.
Bonta.
Yes. So it's, in fact, Bonta was at one of the meetings. So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes.
Right.
And every little corner, they want to, you know, giving housing. And then when we're talking about the people they want to house are the people that we're talking about, the lady in the park. Okay. And that's not going to happen. So it's just this weird sense of all the people on the street want to go into our house, and we'll be able to put them in there and they'll be able to stay. And that's what we keep having the meetings over and over again about. So it's going to be interesting. And
Well,
I think it's ridiculous, and hopefully we will save ourselves from it. We got the 2 abode, which are very decent looking buildings. And I see no problems around them. I don't know who's living in them. We went through that for a couple of years. Remember, Laura?
yes,
And we saved ourselves a whole level on both of them. And they're really quite decent. To Johnny's, you know, those 2 abodes. And it's low income housing. It's decently placed, and I don't think it's causing that much problem where it is. So we're gonna see. Right now, they're trying to turn them into cracker boxes.
right. Well, I think then for us tonight is simply, do we want to, there's 4 of us here, authorize Teresa and Laura, I guess, to draft a community impact statement that says something like, we support removing barriers to the construction of affordable housing. However, there's no reason to fast track this particular effort because they're not considering the open space, the trees, all the things that would be considered in site plan review need to be considered. And this is moving so fast, and it doesn't seem necessary given that the mayor has issued an emergency order. So do we want to essentially adopt that motion to give Teresa and I the ability, if we can get it done by Saturday or Friday?
I'm going to take exactly what you said, Laura. Tomorrow I'll listen to the recording and I will take that and I will make a motion. I make a motion that we write a CIS with the comments that Laura just made to present to the governing board on
April 6th.
April the 6th. Is there a second?
I second.
Third.
And everybody, any questions? Any
No.
discussion?
No,
All right.
I think it's great.
Okay.
All in favor?
I
Aye. Motion
Okay.
carried.
Yep, it does. Okay. Is there any other old business or previous cases we want to discuss? And I'm hoping not, it's 8:30, but we could if there is.
I think at some point we'd like to talk about the school in McCarty. I know we haven't up to now, but would love at some point to discuss that school that has come back, even though it's not supposed to. So.
And maybe what we can do is invite Eric to come in because I did file
Yes,
a building and safety complaint on behalf of Donna. And Eric said the inspector called you, right, Donna?
yes, he did once, but building and safety is doing minimal on anything for us. I don't know. I'm sure they don't do it everywhere, but for us, I'm just wondering if they're working at all. So
Okay.
I'd love that at some point when we actually can get to that. They don't really have many students because all they do is take social security numbers and run them and get paid. So it's not like there are any students there. So it's just it's a fraud, the whole thing, but we don't need to allow them to take over buildings in the community for that. Because the next thing you know, it'll be, they'll be placing overnight people to sleep in the church again and camp out outside it during the day, and won't be able to stop it. So it's important. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Laura,
Nothing else,
I don't want to start a whole new discussion, but whatever happened with the KC people that were supposed to be watering the trees?
They Are they not watering the trees?
I don't know. I'm just asking.
No, well, I think that there's a 3-year contract. I don't think it was KYCC, it was
It was a conservation, CCC,
yes,
Conservation Corps.
right. And I think that they have a 3-year contract, so 1 year is already passed, so this year, I mean, we've had all this rain, so they probably won't start up again until,
Right.
May. But they should still be watering the trees.
Well, they should be maintaining tree planting. I mean, in other words, they could be weeding. Right.
Well, that's
There-
not happening.
Well, then that's definitely something to look at, because I think if they brought a water bucket over to a tree, the tree would get up out of the ground and run. I seriously think, but the weeds are terrible everywhere. Everyone knows that. So
Well-
weeding is definitely, but they better not bring a bucket of water in, even put it in the car. I'm telling you.
I can just, I just wondered, we don't have to go into a full discussion, but I was just curious.
Something to look at though,
Yeah.
because if there's a lot of weeds, then somebody needs to call them. Because I know they'd come to my house and I wouldn't mind it at all.
All
Okay.
righty. Is that
Thank
it?
you.
Meeting adjourned, Laura?
Yes, if that's okay with everyone.
Thank you so much.
Done.
Appreciate it.
All right. Good night.
So
Good night,
save-
everyone.
Night,
if you don't-
everyone.
If you
Thank
want the chat, don't forget to save it,
Oh,
or I can email it.
not the chat, because you guys were discussing something and I was on the phone and I saw Teresa's hand gyration, so I knew she was excited about
We were talking about the site review amendment, I guess is what it is, and that's what we all agreed on. We're gonna do that CIS on. That was
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was a young lady, her mother, I found out her mother had passed away on Facebook and she had died sometime last year. And I hadn't seen this young lady since she was a teenager. And she found me on Facebook and she just called me. And that's
Oh.
why I wasn't participating in the meeting. I was chatting with her.
Yeah, that's good. That's wonderful.
Yes, that's so nice, Dolores.
All right.
Good
Good
way.
night, y'all.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The meeting.
Okay. All right. Well, good meeting, Laura.
And at least the live chat hears me really well,
Yeah.
even if no one else does.
Okay, well, if nothing else, you have to stop YouTube right now.